Transport has been keeping London moving for over 200 years. And as you go around the museum, you'll see all the different factors, whether it's trains or buses or what we're doing around walking and cycling. But essentially, London really only ticks on a day-to-day basis because of transport. It is the glue which joins up all those different neighbourhoods and villages and areas across where 9 million people live to be the great city that is London. And what we call mass transit or public transport is absolutely at the heart of that. You can't have big world cities with very high densities of people living safely, healthily, and happily together without a really, really good public transport network supported by really safe streets. So that's very much what my role is about within TfL. It's how do we enable that? And it's what's really at the heart of what TfL delivers every day. It isn't just about getting people from A to B. It's about doing so in a way which is really sustainable, safe and clean, one that doesn't pollute the very city that we live in and helps people to make really good transport choices. And if we look at what the kind of changes that might mean for the city moving forward, transport itself is a big emitter of carbon. Within London, it emits about 20%, 1/5 of all the carbon we see. It's even more on a national scale. So if we're going to make that transition to net zero, we need to make that transition within our transport. We've done some research. We had some research published just earlier in the year by consultants, and they were looking at the kinds of changes that we would need to deliver to enable that transition. Their estimates suggest that you would need to cut current car use in London by nearly 1/3 just to help reduce the amount of carbon being emitted. And if you think about that and you think about the roads that you see every day, how do we achieve that challenge? That's questions that we need to answer in TfL, and I'll bring it to life a bit in terms of the type of jobs and roles that we do to try to change the way people travel in London so that we can be that sustainable city. There's lots of different things that we're thinking about right now when we think about the environment part of my job. So I'm looking after safety and the health of our staff and our customers, but particularly the environment. And so that could be about looking at how we operate our transport network every day. We are probably one of the biggest public transport operators in the world, certainly within Europe. How do we make sure that we're operating that as efficiently as possible? We are around the third largest landowner in London. So we own and operate lots and lots of different land areas. How do we make sure we're doing that, which helps biodiversity, which means that it's done in a sustainable way for the wildlife that needs to use it and the communities that live near it? How do we make sure that of all the infrastructure that we operate, that we're using resources as wisely as possible? Energy, water, and other factors. So each of these approaches involves many, many different people across TfL. TfL is a very large organisation. It directly employs around 28,000 people. That's about a small town's worth of people. All of these people need to work together on these challenges. And they do so in lots of different ways. And so I want to use today to bring to light some of the careers, if you're interested, you might pursue if you're interested in shaping cities and shaping the way people travel in it. What kind of green skills might you need to make a real career in this space? We know that travelling by public transport is much more efficient in terms of carbon, in terms of its impact on the environment. So delivering major new infrastructure like the Elizabeth line. Has anyone actually travelled on the Elizabeth line? If you've put up your hand on the, yeah. Okay, loads of you, there you go. Okay, so that's quite an exciting new feature to London. And we're constantly planning where would we need to go next with new infrastructure like that. Walking and cycling. I cycled here today, actually. That's how I travel around London quite often, but I might use the tube or the train other times. But cycling and walking are major ways that people travel in London. So how do we provide the routes and the wayfinding and ways that enable people to do this safely? How do we make sure that our bus network, we run the largest bus network in Europe. We have 9,000 buses. Every one of them used to run on diesel. Diesel is highly polluting. We are in the process of transitioning the entire bus fleet to electric and have to do it over the next 12 years. How do we do that? How do we do that quicker and more efficiently? How do we transition the underground network, which uses most electricity in the whole of London? So we are the largest consumer of electricity in London. We are now looking at how to power the underground with wind power. These are the kind of challenges that people in my team are looking at, and how to make sure that we have enough power to run the tube. But it's not only about how we operate the network, it's how we adapt to a changing climate. So all of you will remember back to this summer to when we had temperatures of over 40 degrees for the first time ever in the United Kingdom. That has major challenges for a transport network that was designed initially over 150 years ago. So we need to be thinking about how do we adapt our transport network? How do we make it a safe and comfortable place for people to actually want to travel when we've got very high temperatures, or when we're facing flooding, which we often do in summer times when we have extreme rainfall. So we have to do much more and go much faster to achieve these goals. And in doing so, if I'm honest, I don't think we've got all the skills we need right now in our organisation to tackle some of those problems. So if I look ahead, and we look ahead at the jobs market, recent reports have looked out over the next 30 years at the low carbon transport market and said, what's it going to mean for London? Well, it's going to mean a lot of jobs. Estimates suggest nearly 150,000 jobs will need to be applied in the transport green skills market. So it definitely is an area to be focusing on, and we need to be thinking about how we can bring bright, talented people into the organisation that can help us solve those problems. So what kind of careers do we use, and what kind of skills do we need? If we do a quick sort of jobs fair around TfL, the kinds of jobs that we need are things like asset managers and engineers. Who is going to manage the tunnels, the bridges, the roads, the trains, all of that in ways that are more sustainable, that ensure that they meet the climate challenges of the future. So we need people who can think outside the box, ready to share their ideas. You might end up working on projects which are about making more efficient use of this infrastructure, or ensuring that it is future ready for those climate changes that I was talking about. We also need people who can design and construct the Elizabeth lines of the future. Really exciting new projects and upgrades. For these roles, we need people who are collaborators, problem solvers, great eye for detail. You might end up working on Crossrail 2, building tunnels under the Thames, or cable cars over the Thames. There are so many major exciting engineering projects and other projects that we deliver, which probably, I would say, inarguably lead the country in terms of the kind of opportunities they provide for delivering really big and exciting projects. We need urban planners and policy strategists. We need to be thinking, future thinking about, okay, we're here, but where do we want to be in 2050, 2100? How do we plan for that? Think strategically. For these roles, we need people who are creative, tactical, and are good at thinking of the synergies and the opportunities that come up, who are thinking about the political landscape in which those ideas are going to land, and how you actually influence people and make them think about investing in London and investing in the right choices. We also need to think about directly, right now, supporting the expansion of infrastructure to support low-emission vehicles. So many of you will know that people are moving to electric vehicles. Where do we provide the charging infrastructure for that? Where do we provide refill for things like hydrogen if we're going to power our future heavy goods vehicles and heavy vehicles by hydrogen? That sector is a huge growth, and we need people inspired by technology who want to overcome those kind of technological challenges that will help power a city. We also need data and analysis experts. We have around 27 million journeys in London a day. That generates an enormous amount of data. We need to understand that data and make sure that the network that we're planning for the future is informed by how people travel and what people want to do. Very much in the same way that Google and Amazon use data all the time to inform their customer choices, we need to be customer ready and using data and analysis in that way. So we need people with really analytical minds who want to apply those skills to helping make London's choices better ones. We're in the process of delivering 20,000 new households for London. Around 50% of those will be affordable. So it's very much about building the city for the future in the right way. And to make those projects happen, we need people who are passionate about urban sustainability, about development, about building communities and making sure that these are the right communities for the city moving forward. And in doing so, we need communication specialists, people who can work with local communities. So it's not all about heavy science, it's also about people who can communicate, reach out, tell that story, and help us take London on that journey to a more sustainable future. So right now, and in the future, we will be recruiting lots and lots of people into these kind of roles. We are launching a new jobs platform today. So it's a kind of place that you can, I don't know if it's actually today, it's very soon anyway, where you can go and look, and if you're interested in careers in TfL, you can look at that and go through that. But I also hope that you'll use this hackathon, which is very much part of the London Transport Museum's London Climate Crossroads programme, as a great way to find out what transport careers are like and to talk to people about the kinds of roles they've taken and why they made those choices. When you get to thinking about future careers, what I really encourage you to think about is that the climate is changing, the environment is changing, whatever role you choose, whether it's in Transport for London, whether it's in transport, or whether it's in any other career. Make sure that you're thinking about how to tackle it through a sustainability lens, because we really need to, through all of our work, be building that safer, sustainable future. That brings me on to an exciting announcement. Over the last month, not only have the students from Uxbridge High been doing a lot of work, other students from across London have been putting the green way of thinking into action as part of our air quality challenge. They've been working in teams and pitching ideas on how to solve the urban air quality crisis to a range of different experts. To encourage positive action, they've explored the use of a number of different things. So the use of liquid hydrocarbons and photosynthesizing bikes, carbon capturing paint, and behaviour change, just to name a few of them. Our panel of industry leaders were really impressed by these well-researched ideas, the innovative concepts that lay at the heart of them, but also in particular the passion that went into each group sharing and creating a greener London. So, what I'm going to do today, and this is both to those of you joining online and those of you in the theatre here, is first of all to say a massive thank you to everyone who participated in that, and secondly to announce those schools that put forward the top ideas. They are La Retraite Roman Catholic Girls' School, the Guru Nanak Sikh Academy, Arc Pioneer Academy, and the Twickenham School. So a massive congratulations to all of you on your brilliant green thinking. And I think at that point we can just give them all a bit of a round of applause. Before I end and let you enjoy the rest of today's event, I wanted to say a few important thank yous. First of all, massive thank you to Uxbridge High School students who've created today's hackathon. When I was talking at the beginning, I sort of said how much time was invested in this, and I was really impressed that it's taken over 6 months of work and workshops to just really hone today and make sure it's a really good day for all of you to enjoy. So thank you to all of your efforts there. Your ideas and insight will really make a difference in terms of what today feels like for everybody. Thank you to the museum's Climate Crossroads partners. So we have Mott MacDonald, Cubic Transportation Systems, Sopra Steria and MasterCard. Thanks very much for your generous funding, time and expertise, and to the Kasuma Trust and Luke Rees Pulley Charitable Trust too. All of you have been involved in making today happen, so thank you. Thank you to all the businesses, the transport business who are actually taking part today. We've got Mott MacDonald, Cubic Transportation Systems, Thales and Siemens Mobility, and the Early Careers, Innovation and Air Quality and Environment teams from TfL. So big effort all round to make today happen. I've worked at TfL for a number of years, and I don't think I've ever stopped learning in my role. It's one of the things I really love about my work. Being at the centre of making the city work is a real privilege, actually, every day. Even though work is challenging, you feel like you're making a real difference. Recently, we looked at what our future vision was for the organisation, and agreed that it should be to be the strong green heartbeat of London. So what does that mean? It means that transport's the pulse driving the city, but we're doing it in a sustainable way. But we need new skills, ideas, and innovations to help us achieve that. So I hope I've given you a few ideas of the type of careers and roles that we need within TfL to help you come on board and help us deal with those challenges of the future. Thank you very much.